Hey everybody, this is Mr. Polly, and welcome to Module 3. I wanted to quickly just go over what to expect this week. I wanted to take you on kind of just a navigational quick around Module 3 and how to use the different resources available. So let's take a look at our weekly pace plan and learning targets. And on here, starting off, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this week's instructional video. I hope it's helpful and get you on the right step going forward. And then, as always, on Thursday for a virtual class, I'm going to explain a lot more in depth and have our lesson for this week on symbolism to help guide us. So as we go through and just continue to look at Tuesday, just as a reminder, there's a link here to review some accommodation setup and how to access some extra support. If you have not yet looked at this from the last two modules, last 2 weeks, I provided it here again. Please take the time to look at it. There are some really helpful resources here to help you be successful going forward with online learning. It is optional, and it should take you about 10 minutes to go through. There are 6 different links on there. Next up for this week, continue reading. I am asking that we begin part 2 this week, which is pages 66 to 85 in Fahrenheit 451. Please don't forget that there is an audio version as well that I made accessible and chapter summaries within the link Fahrenheit 451. Vocabulary is also provided in there, so all your resources in this link, and then also back on the module itself, you'll see this link Fahrenheit 451. Please use that to access those links. Going forward, our assignments. We have 2 assignments this week. One you'll see is due on Wednesday, and the second one is due on Friday. For Wednesday's assignment, it's a comprehension quiz over part 1 that you finished last week. So that was the first 64 pages of part 1. And I'm just having you do a comprehension quiz to see, really, are you getting the story, what's happening? And what's great about this is you have as many attempts as you want. So the goal isn't to get you, if you didn't remember a few details from the story. It's for you to help kind of go through it and be like, all right, I think this is the best answer, and then see if you get it right. And if not, learn from it, look at maybe the next 3 options and be like, you know what, I actually think this is a better choice, until you really can figure out and get 100% on this. All right, these are the major events, these are the characters, and what's happening so far in part 1. Okay, everybody should be able to get 100% on this assignment, because you can take it as many times as you would like. You can look up the information. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. But the questions on here really lend themselves to some important events within the story that you should know at this point. And if we don't, this is a great opportunity to learn those events and make sure that we're really on the same page and we understand what's going on in Fahrenheit 451. That should take you 30 to 40 minutes to complete that assignment. If you have got it figured out, I'm sure some of you could probably crank it out in 10, 15 minutes. But otherwise, if you're just slower like I am at taking tests, I kind of mapped it out 30 to 40 minutes to complete this assignment. All right. Thursday, again, I have your links down here. You were able to just kind of sign in last time when there was a substitute. For this week, you will be admitted one by one from the lobby. So please make sure that you get there a little bit early so I can sign you all in at least 5 minutes early, and then we'll get after it this week. And we are going to be discussing symbolism. Symbolism. What is it, and why is it so important in stories, and how does it add meaning to the content or to the story itself? So that's what we're going to be talking about this week with a little mini lesson. I got a PowerPoint for us, and then take a look at some examples of symbolism within the story, and that's going to get you ready to be successful for your last activity this week, which is the symbolism practice. For this activity, you will be opening up your own copy, making a copy of it, and it's going to walk you through 3 steps. The first step, let's just take a look at it. Again, make sure you make a copy of it. It will force you kind of make a copy once you sign into it. What you should notice here is that the first part is you're going to be talking about, there are 6 different kind of topics here, objects that you could symbolize. So with this, you're going to be thinking of 2 objects that would symbolize what war is. Okay, so if I would give you an example, barbed wire might be one. When you see barbed wire, some people associate that to war. I know in a lot of wars, they had lots of barbed wire, and it was pretty nasty for people, and it shows the separation that you're not welcomed here. So that's one. You could also put something in there like ammunition could be something that would represent war, or different flags that like are torn, or different objects that you think would represent war. Okay, and then you're going to be thinking of 2 objects for each one of these ideas or concepts. As you scroll down, the second part is you're going to be thinking of 2 ideas or concepts that these objects could be symbolic of. So you're going to flip it in a sense. So here you started with the idea and concept, and then you thought of objects that would represent them. Well, here you have an object, and now you're going to be thinking of 2 ideas or concepts that they could represent. So for heart, that could represent love, right? A heart could represent love, that you care for somebody. It could also represent health. A heart could be health. Okay, so now you're coming up with ideas or concepts that this could help you understand. The last part on here, part 2, this is where you're going to be going to the story itself, Fahrenheit 451, and you're going to be finding an example of a symbol within the story. Find the page that it's located on, the text evidence itself. So what does it actually say in the text? That's your text evidence. And then you're going to explain, what does this symbol represent? What value does it add to the story? So just like last week we talked about figurative language, it meant something different. Well, symbolism, it's a symbol, but also it has a double meaning to it. Okay, and sometimes when we see these symbols repeated throughout our work, we call those like motifs, when there's an object represented that has a meaning within it. These symbols we're going to be talking about, what is one symbol and what could it mean? I'm going to show you at least one example during our virtual class time from Fahrenheit 451 to get you thinking for this assignment. I've asked that most of you find 2 symbols, 2 different symbols within the story, and include the page numbers, text evidence, and explain what that symbol means besides the obvious. So again, symbols might represent something different than what it actually is. Barbed wire, okay, it's usually used for fences. Well, barbed wire itself can also represent something completely different to somebody different. All right, so what do these symbols represent? That's the activity for our last one here. Okay, let's go back to our module. That was the symbolism practice. I'm going to go back to the rest of the modules now that we took a look, and that was due on Friday. Remember, all assignments need to be turned in by Monday at the latest. So that's kind of when we have it in. But if you turn it in later, it will say that it's missing, but or turn in late. But again, you're not losing points. These are just recommendations for you to get them turned in on these times so that you don't fall behind. As you look at the Module 3 module, again, just remember our first one, weekly PACE plan. Second one will be the modifications. If you have access to this, please take a look at this. Not all students can see this one, but if you can, please make sure you start here. And then again, I give you the resources for Fahrenheit 451. And then part 1, this is your quiz. And then the second one is your symbolism practice. So that's kind of our summary for the week, where we take what we learned in our virtual class and put it into practice. Look forward to seeing you all in class on Thursday. Remember that your times, I have, if your last name begins with A through E, you are joining me at the 8 to 8:40 time on Thursday morning. If your last name begins with the letters F through K, you're going to be joining me at 8:45 to 9:25. If your last name begins with the letter L through R, you're going to be joining me at 9:30 to 10:10. And if your last name begins with letters S through Z, you're going to be joining me at 10:15 to 10:55 this Thursday morning. Instructional support hours again on Tuesday through Friday. I do have several conferences scheduled this week, a few during that time. So if you're just waiting in the lobby for a little while before I admit you, that's probably why, because I'm meeting with somebody else for a conference. Those conferences should only go 10 to 15 minutes. And again, I don't have many, but I do have a couple scheduled during those times, and a few more might be scheduled during those times as well. So please be flexible, and the best practice is always to email me beforehand so I can make sure I set aside a time to meet with you. If you have any questions, please email me, reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing all of you in class this Thursday.